Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spincast. Today we have Josh RADER with us. He's a physical health and exercise expert outside of Texas. He has his own local gym down there. So, without further ado, Josh, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us how you got to where you are now. As a gym owner and someone that is a physical trainer. It helps people with that aspect of their life so much. So, what kind of sparked all that interest, and how did it lead to where you are now?
Honestly, if you'd have told me in high school that this is what I'd be doing, I wouldn't have believed you. Uh, I never really liked exercise, never really liked this stuff. I played sports in high school and a little bit in college, but this is just something that kind of took off as a passion while I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
I've always just really enjoyed. I was a gamer. I would
Mm-hmm.
I would stay up and grind Diablo on PC and all this crazy stuff, and it was. Yeah, I never thought this would happen, but after college, I got out and I started personal training and started bartending and saving my money and getting really into how business works and everything, and even took up real estate for a little bit to learn how like business contracts and everything works. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, saved up, and I now own two 24/7 gyms with a little over 1,000 members. We also have a swim club and a moving company. So I do a lot of really weird things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Somewhat of an atypical path, but I'm sure you're happy with where you are now. Sounds like you're doing a lot of great stuff down there in Texas. So this is an esports podcast, so obviously we got to talk a little bit about esports. So explain your background in gaming and what kind of sparked that passion, because I know you do some work with some gamers and people that participate in esports based on our conversations from where we met in Boston at the College Esports Expo.
Yeah. So currently I work with McMurray University here in Abilene, Texas. They're a private school and they have a full esports team. So they compete in Overwatch. I think they're adding CSGO, which is good. They'll probably, of course, add Valorant now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and League of Legends and Rocket League. Those are our main games that we're playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first year of operation. I kind of saw that it was happening, and I've been talking to my wife about it actually for a little bit because she knows, she forgives me for being a big nerd. Like, she's super supportive of it all, and it's really cool about it. But it was just one of those things. I was like, man, I'd really like to somehow be involved again in the video game community, because back when I was younger, I grew up like really poor. So I would always get like, I was a console gamer, but I was like a 10-year behind console gamer
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
like whenever the next thing would come out, like a few months down the
Mm-hmm.
line, I'd be able to afford it. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I would go over to my friend's house and play a lot. And this kid that actually moved in next door to me had a PC. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this thing's incredible. You could
Yeah.
just barely run anything on like dial-up AOL internet, and we would use like, they had these internet discs. I'm 29, so I'm not like a grandpa, but in the gaming community, I'm an antique. But we had these like free internet discs that if you hacked in, you could get like internet for forever. So he didn't even pay
Yeah.
for internet back then. You just
Ah.
like just keep
Just keep cycling
running.
them in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. But I mean, his parents would have to run me out of that house. We would just
Mm-hmm.
be up playing StarCraft, and that was kind of my first game. The Diablo 2 was that was my like full
Yeah.
blown South Park episode of
Yeah.
Pee and Cups type thing. Like, it was intense. Then I later, like, we would have some local tournaments here on like at the mall actually, which was pretty cool. So we had some Smash Brothers tournaments and some Call of Duty tournaments and things like that. And I would go and compete in those quite a bit. I actually won a few, so it was always a good time.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then called up that I saw that McMurray was doing their thing. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I would really like to be a part of that. Called up the guy that was named the head coach. His name's Matt Tarpley, and I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
just welcomed me with open arms right from day one. It was a really cool experience.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Sounds like a great start there. I remember those days. Just nothing better than sitting down with some of your buddies. And, I used to play split screen Halo with my friends and we play all day, and it's just, oh, if we go back to those days out of where the world climate is right now, I think I think everybody a little bit more happy, so to say.
Honestly,
Um,
I have been having super vibes of that since
yeah.
the lockdown thing. Like
Mhm.
I have been playing the crap out of games with some of my
Yeah,
friends. Like it's really
it
yeah,
is.
it's
And I
been weird.
think
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
I think
29, so a lot of us are like,
mhm.
but you know, we all have like responsibilities and stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, so I mean, we've been like last night. I think I played from 6 to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
Call of Duty with a bunch of different friends, and like I would go to log off, and then other friends would text me and be like,
Exactly.
"Hey
I
man,
want to play. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll go join their lobby or their
I haven't,
party, and then
I
on and
haven't
on and
played a
on.
Call of Duty game in 10 years." And
Mhm.
then Warzone came out, and I mean,
Yeah.
yesterday was like legitimately the first time for me to get back into it and really
Mhm.
grind out some time. So
Yeah, I just got back into Warzone a little bit last week. Me and one of my buddies ended up from college I used to live with. They all got it because it's free to play cross platform. So like
yeah,
I'm on PC, they're on PlayStation, they're on Xbox, and we're all just kind of like, hey, we got nothing much to do because there is nothing to do really,
mm,
besides working from home when you can. So we're just hopping on, having a good time, reminiscent of those split screen days. A little bit
right,
different. Thankfully, we can do it online.
right.
But yeah, so going back to McMurray
Mm,
and the work you do there. I know some of our past conversations when we talk, it's sometimes it's hard to get those gamers or esports pros just on the physical health side of things and explaining the importance of that. So what kind of small steps do you take to introduce them and help them just take those baby steps and get them going on a better path?
First of all, it's hard to get anybody to do any type of exercise. Like, I mean, I own gyms, and
Hmm.
some days I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
this ain't it. Uh, but you know, the fun thing that I've learned about working with the esports team and all the kids is that I say kids, they're like 18 to 20. I mean,
Hmm.
it's
They're basically kids.
those darn kids down there. No, but probably the biggest thing that I've seen with working with them is that a lot of them just need that general guidance. A lot of with what I do with like personal training athletes and like high performance people
Hmm.
is a lot of vanity based stuff. So people are like, oh, I want to lose my love handles or whatever it happens to be, like
Hmm.
and all kinds of dumb stuff like that. With esports, it's a lot of just mobility in general. So
Hmm.
one of the first things that I implemented was coming in and having everybody use MyFitnessPal and kind of track what they eat throughout the day.
Hmm.
As all of us know, esports is something that's just riddled with energy drinks, sugar, uh, just super gross diets. I mean, that's
Hmm.
just what we do.
Hmm.
What makes it makes you feel good in here.
Yep.
Heck,
Yeah.
not heck, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Um,
So I worked with them, had them log all their stuff, and the stuff that came back was crazy. I mean, there was this one kid that like legitimately, and we make fun of him still about it, playfully
yeah.
make fun of him.
Yeah.
His whole diet was like Vienna sausages and ramen, and like that was
Hmm.
it. Like he would have Vienna sausages and ramen every single day,
Hmm.
and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
I can
hey,
imagine.
like you feeling sweaty because this diet looks a little sweaty. Like
Yeah.
this makes it look like you're
Seems like we
weaving.
can connect a few dots there and explain a few side effects of that, to say the least.
Exactly. I mean, like one of the big things I told him, and that is kind of what it was a weird day, but it kind of made us all like bond. I
Hmm.
was like, all right, so we're gonna talk about like your pee and poop. I know that's really strange, but that's like a
Yeah.
very basic rudimentary place that you can look at.
Hmm.
Everyone does it, and you can look
Hmm.
at it and be like, oh man, my urine is green.
Yeah.
It probably
Something's
shouldn't.
probably not supposed to be like that.
Yeah. So we just kind of looked at that. We're like, if it looks like this, you got to start drinking more water. Just
Hmm.
yeah, little easy tips.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good place to start. Like you said, looking at your body and trying to interpret what's happening, and
Mm,
then trace it back to, okay, how can I help change that? How can I fix what I need to fix so I can help my body become more healthy? Which I think a lot of people, like you said, really anywhere, just inside or outside of esports, they don't realize what they put in their body usually has, especially in today's world, usually has some kind of negative effect, whether it's too much sugar, too much caffeine, too much energy, and I know you read those energy drinks and it's just boom, 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 boom with all these random ingredients. I'm like, I can't even pronounce that, let alone understand what that is.
But it tastes good.
Yeah, it tastes good and it keeps me awake, so it has to be good, right? Um, yeah, looking at that a little more closely, probably going to help you in the long run. So theoretically, right? So I'm sure you probably come across something like this. A lot of gamers want to keep the reaction time high because that's ultimately a defining factor in performance, especially in FPS games, really in any game.
Mhm.
Is you got to stay very, very alert so you can react. So they use energy drinks and they, pound them all day to keep 100% or 150% alert. So how do you go about helping them realize that actually like a well-balanced diet and paired with, a balanced exercise regimen can actually keep it at the same level at a much healthier lifestyle?
So it's an uphill battle for
Yeah.
sure. Go ahead and start with that. But I can even since the McMurray team, I've talked to a few other teams and spoken to a bunch of groups about this. And there's a few different studies that are out there that are actually pretty interesting about the central nervous system, about reaction times, and about how, like, for example, dehydration impairs your reaction time significantly.
Hmm.
Significantly. So if you take, they did it with like an elite skeet shooter, so somebody who shoots clay pigeons or whatever out of the sky. It was an Olympic competitor, and so they performed with them fully hydrated, and then performed with them after dehydration tactics. So they put them in
Hmm.
like a sauna and didn't let them drink any water, and
Hmm.
they got them like it was like 15% dehydrated, which really sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's not very much at all. Most of us actually operate at about 8 to 15% dehydrated. That's a made up statistic, but there is a range.
Yeah.
There's an actual like range in there. I won't quote it again off the top of my head, but
Hmm.
there's like it's a significant amount of dehydration that all of us is like normal to us,
Hmm.
which it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I mean, his reaction time was significantly slower. It actually impaired him as much as like 6 beers. But
Dang.
just being dehydrated impaired him as much as having 6 beers in his system. So
Yeah.
just something like that, that's like this very concrete
Hmm.
piece of evidence that you can be like, look, this is a elite competitor, and when we put him through these things, like look at how his performance was impaired. So just showing things like that.
Hmm.
A lot of us play games are super skeptical about
Hmm.
a dude bro with a backwards hat doing a podcast from a gym. So
Yeah.
like, get it,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. So I do just kind of have to like make sure, no, like this is stuff that's actually like numbers based and science based.
Hmm.
I'm not just coming in here and screaming at you to eat vegetables and whatnot. It's just it's the little changes, the easy changes that actually will make the
Hmm.
biggest performance difference.
Yeah, so taking those baby steps to really, help them put them on the path, so to say, so they can hopefully take strides down that path, to get to, some bigger and better, lifestyle changing, uh, nutrition and physical, um, health. I'm just talking over myself right now, just leading a more healthy life. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's really important, especially with the esports world, is that I think, I mean, I've grown up in it. We are skeptical of anybody that's outside of it, right? Like you said, a big, a guy that owns 2 gyms and a swim club and, is in an actual gym doing a podcast. Typically people might turn away, but that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're like, hey, these guys know their stuff. They back it up with research, scientific, scholarly approved, peer reviewed, um, journals and all that kind of research to show that, like, hey, there's bases in this, and we're not telling you to like do exactly what they say. Just drink some more water, right? Wake up in the day, drink a glass of water. At lunch, drink a glass of water. At dinner, drink a glass of water, and then you'll feel it. Being hydrated just makes everything in your body work so much better. And then from there, eating better, physical health, exercising a little bit more from, going for a 15-minute run for maybe 15-minute run and then do some ab workout after, and just taking those smaller steps. So talk us through how you kind of go about that. Like, give us an example of maybe, a student you helped that you took them, help them take those baby steps to get them on the path to better success in that health kind of realm.
And there's actually been quite a few that have been
Yeah.
the little changes have made a pretty big difference in their life.
Awesome.
the easy ones are the weight loss. I mean, that's
Hmm.
an easy one to point to. But the one that ones I'm really the most proud of are like the little changes. Like there's this one kid that had been complaining about like, wrist pain, which turns out we all suffer from in some way.
Hmm.
And he was like, yeah, some people told me to be healthier and do more things. I've really been trying to do that. And so I was like, all right, like what are you doing? Let's run that down a little bit.
Hmm.
He was like, well, I've been doing a lot of push-ups and a lot of like planks and a lot of like all these things that just keep your wrists in this torqued position.
Hmm.
And it's like, hey man, like no, like yes,
Yeah.
you see a bunch of people doing push-ups that are trying to be healthy, but two things can be true. Like yes, he can be doing that, but that can't be
Hmm.
good for you either. Like if you already have wrist pain. So I mean, it's the things that I'm the most proud of are the little things like that. That it's just like
Hmm.
because there is so much information and so much of those gym bros that people will see on Instagram and all those things that are very misleading, especially to the little tight knit community that is gaming. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point right there. Is I think I read an interesting article last week that said like, what's the worst workout you can do for a gamer? Crunches and push-ups, because it puts push-ups like you just said. It's stress on the wrist and it also keeps you in that hunched over position that you're already in when you're
exactly,
practicing all day. So like working on back exercises, lower back, glutes, and core strength to keep you more upright actually goes a lot longer for those gamers that tend to be in that hunched over position for most of the day.
yeah,
So like you said, like don't just take any broad, Instagram popular or YouTube popular workout regimen and think it's perfect for you. You have to think about, okay, what's my unique situation and how can I improve that with small things, right? Keeping your wrist in a neutral position, making sure you have a good core strength to help your posture while you're sitting in a chair all day. Um, all those kind of great little things. So I think I got time for one more question. Looking towards the future, what do you hope to see improve, maybe on an awareness level or a knowledge level in this kind of health world, in relations to esports? Where can you see like big jumps happening in the next 2 or 3 years that really help spur, that healthier lifestyle that we're all trying to convince people to partake in? But like I said, it's not catching on as fast as we would like.
Ooh. First of all, fantastic question.
Yeah.
Esports is one of those things that we all take it seriously. All of us that
Mhm.
are in it and a part of it.
Mhm.
Nobody else does.
Exactly. Getting that outside the community buy-in is definitely a difficult part of being in the esports world.
Yeah, and I really think something, especially at the collegiate and high school level, that will help that is, uh, in my opinion, the places that I've been into that are, and it was actually talked about a lot at the expo that I met you at.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of programs don't handle themselves like the other like athletic programs that are there on their campus. So they don't have like formalized practices. They don't have formalized, study group times, formalized exercise group times, all these things that are a part of becoming a true program
Mhm.
and a true, I guess, outside of us, respectable sport.
Mhm.
I hate the word esport, by the way, it's really gross. I think we all do. But so definitely one of the things that we can do is just be more regimented. And so I
Mhm.
think a good way to reflect that to the outer world is by the outer world. Sounds like whatever those
Sounds like
people
we're
are
on the move
there.
right now.
Yeah, whatever's going on out there. But a good way to reflect that is to have some sort of like health aspect to it. So, I mean, just an implementation of some sort of expert that people can have an outlet to on esports teams. Was that a roundabout enough way to answer that
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Okay,
I
I
think
think
looking towards more structure. Exactly. I think you
yeah,
went everywhere around it and then spiraled into the answer.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
structures. I'll give one more just quick example. I went and worked. So a couple of the Rocket League kids from Abilene, young adults. I They wanted to compete in a tournament in Atlanta. So this was, I think, in January. So they wanted to compete at the one in Atlanta, and So they were working with actually an org there.
Mhm.
So it wasn't a McMurray based thing, but I was like, hey man, I got a pretty flexible schedule.
Yeah.
Like, so, we hopped in, rented a car and drove up there.
Yeah.
First of all, it was like a 12-hour drive. It was really terrible. But when we got there,
Yeah.
so the organization that I was working with, like, they were excited to have me there. So they were like,
Mhm.
I mean, they were excited to have everybody there. It wasn't just me. I'm not like, dude. But
Yeah.
it was, they were like, oh man, that's awesome, a fitness expert. Like, hey, real quick before our Call of Duty team goes up, give them a pep talk. And I was like, have they ever had a pep talk before? No, no, but they're about to be in the finals. Like they could really just use a riled up pep talk. And I was like,
Mhm.
that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Like we're all creatures of habits, and we all
Mhm.
have our own mindset and places that we need to go. So if it's not like, I'm not pep talk guy.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm there about like having the rituals and having those
Mhm.
like healthy habits, those little things that you can go on. Like, man, help us focus. No, that's not.
You can't just snap your fingers and accomplish that.
Yeah, I can't like wave a wand and do that, man. Like, so
Mhm.
just having a better understanding. And first of all, these were great guys. I'm not bashing them
Yeah.
in any way, but like just having a better understanding of like where health and wellness fits into this world will
Mhm.
make just a huge difference. But
Yeah, exactly. I think you said that really well, and it's that it's no one's fault. There's no one to blame that people just don't know it. It's literally just there's a lack of understanding and a lack of knowledge there that comes from the lack of exposure that esports gets out from outside the scene, right? On the wellness and health side of things. There's a lot of great guys like yourself that are trying to change that, but there's also still that negative kind of air around esports and a lot of those other related aspects to it, like health and wellness, like communications. People think you don't develop soft skills or you don't want to take care of yourself or you don't need to. And then that just leads to a massive load of bad habits and, like you said, a bad regimen. And it is slow change, right? Like you said, taking
just
those baby steps to creating just something of a structure will go a long way, and then enhancing that structure over months or years, typically, where you can expect something way more structured, so to say, um, than just having a guy come up and be like, "Hey, we need a pep talk right now." And you're like, "Wait, what?"
no,
um, but yeah, I think that's definitely something to look forward to, from the health and wellness side. So unfortunately, I am out of time.
it's all good.
Josh, thank you so much for joining us, taking your time just to share your thoughts on health and wellness and esports in general. We're all in kind of a sticky situation right now with the world climate. So everyone stay healthy, stay happy. Josh, quickly tell us where we can find you, um, to keep up to date with everything you're doing down there with McMurray and your personal businesses, all that kind of great stuff.
Cool. Well, you can follow Firehouse Fitness. Those are our pages for here. But for me personally, on all platforms, I'm Brotivator. So
Okay.
yeah, it's spelled just like it sounds. To Brotivate one, the motivator of brothers. That's what they call me. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. Thanks again. Thanks to everyone listening, everyone out there. If you ever need help with health and wellness, I'm sure Josh will help you. He is a great guy. And like in this community, we're all here to help just expand our thoughts and help anybody we can with those baby steps that we've been talking about in this particular episode. So stay healthy, stay happy, and stay plugged in.